Little by little, you forget how to be human. You slowly become this animal that no longer cares about himself or about anyone else. Yeah, I'm sure you're one of those who claims, yeah, nah, that's not me. I love my girl. I love my kids. I love my parents or my family. But the truth is you don't. Because if I did, then they would be my priority, and they are not. You, like me, made the homies, the gang, the dope, the crimes more important than them. So stop lying to yourself. I know better. I don't care what you're suffering from. You honestly care for them like you claim you do, then ask for help. Okay, now where was I? Oh yeah, I get away again. See why more and more I'm believing this is the life I was born to live? Well, I didn't completely get away with it. Somebody told one of the big homies what I did. So next yard, these two homies are confronting me, getting at me sort of hard, telling me that I could have messed things up. That they spent like half an hour scolding me and asking me if I understand. Yeah, I'm getting tired of it. So now I have to write a 5,000-word essay on the importance of following rules, and that it had to be written, mini-written, which is 5 lines between each line on writing paper. So I start. Then instead, during yard in the daily junta, they tell me that I have to stab an individual, and they point him out. They tell me that because of lack of numbers, lack of homies, that I'm going on this mission by myself. I'm scared as hell. Yeah, but I'm more scared of what the homies will do to me. I seen what they did to homie in the county jail.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Plus, let's face it, I'm more scared of what the homies will think of me and of not being accepted. So I put the pedazo in my pocket, and I start walking towards dude. I must have made it obvious because he turns and walks the other way. So I turn and walk the other way as well. Okay, so you can see the picture I'm trying to paint. The yard is shaped in a big circle, so you're not going too far. So I walk the opposite way, figuring I'll catch up to him on the other side. But then dude turns again. This goes on. I'm getting more and more pissed off. This dude is playing with me. So I'm getting more and more mad, pissed. I'm feeling like this dude's making me feel like a loser. And because I'm thinking, what are the homies going to think of me? Then I hear it over the loudspeaker. Yard recall. So now I'm really mad. I'm trying to figure out what to do with this pedazo. Everybody is lined up waiting to get searched before going into the building. So I pick an enemy and I start stabbing him. In the commotion, I was able to stab dude three to 4 times. Good shots in the side. A bunch of us get cuffed up. I've already been taught we don't talk to staff, that all the info they need is on our IDs. So I get sat down in the sergeant's office. They start asking me all kinds of questions. I tell them my ID is in my pocket. They continue with the questions. I again tell them my ID is in my pocket. One of the COs tells the sergeant, this is one of them norteños. I spent that whole night in a holding cage with only my boxers. By now, physical pain was a relief to my emotional and psychological pain. So I was okay. So I was okay, sleeping all crunched up like that in the cold. The next morning, I get released back to the same yard. So now the homies are questioning me about what happened. Why did I stab the wrong dude?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So I tell them everything that happened. So they give me my prompts for what I did, but they also tell me that I have a hard time doing what I'm told and that I need to work on it. But the only thing I hear was that, hey, they're giving me props for stabbing dude. This whole time, my family, my baby's mama, plus a couple other girlfriends are visiting. I'm lying to them. They don't know that I'm doing all this dirt. One weekend that they call me for visiting, it helped me get away with the stabbing. I stabbed this one dude at the same time they called me for a visit. The yard goes down as I'm moving away from dude. So I run towards my building. I get cuffed. They ask me, why were you running from the incident? I tell them, I wasn't running from any incident, that I was running to change for my visit. So they look into it, and sure enough, They say, yeah, he was called for a visit. So I was allowed to go to my visit. Again, this only deepened my belief that this was my fate. Why else would all these things be falling in place for me? But by now, both sides are stabbing each other. There's 2 rules to this war. 1, no stabbing in canteen line. 2, no stabbing visiting. Other than that, it is war. So I'm going to yards. The tension is high. I don't know who scheduled a riot, but that's what it seemed like. All the sureños are on one side of the yard. All the norteños are on the other side. The tension is thick, like I've been telling you. You can feel the pressure. Now imagine yourself on the edge of a football field, but you're looking down to a big basketball court. Imagine all the sureños running down to the basketball court from one side and all the norteños doing the same from the other side. At that moment, it seemed awesome. It was like in the movies. Everybody's running around fighting, stabbing, and there's smoke everywhere. I have blood on my shirt. I don't know if it's mine or not. I stopped what I was doing. I remember this moment clearly. I'm standing in front of building 1, and I look towards building 5, just as that cop fires off a round off of his mini. And I swear, I can see this little ball of light coming right at me. I'm mesmerized by it, and it seems like it's taking a long time to get to me. But I can't move, and I can't stop staring at it. Then all of a sudden, I hear a loud groan behind me. So I turn around, and there behind me on the ground is a sureño with a knife in his hand and bullet in his leg. This fool was about to stab me. I'm like, damn, can this be real? Not only did I avoid a bullet, but that bullet kept me from getting stabbed in the back. No, I didn't thank the cop that fired that shot, nor did I thank God for showing me mercy. No, instead, I took credit for all of it. Yeah, now I knew this was my life. I embraced it. A lot of us get transferred to Old Folsom, the enemy's house. Yeah, everybody knows this prison is run by the M. Well, this time I get housed on the 3rd tier. My homeboy gets housed on the 3rd tier as well, but on the backside. So I tell him to get a piece and to get off. That is what I'm going to do. They house me with another one of these clowns claiming he doesn't play the politics. So I simply tell him to keep out of my way and to point out a blood. So he does. I get at blood, tell him who I am and what I need. So he tells me, be cool. Half an hour later, he brings me this beautifully sharp steel piece. So on my way to chow, I notice how everybody hangs right there by the steps. So I tell myself, on the way back, I'm gonna find me a victim. The whole time in the chow hall, I'm pumping myself up. I'm so scared of what I'm about to do. But I know 2 things for sure, and that is, if I don't hurry up and do them, they are going to do me. And if I don't do them, then the homies are going to do me. Since I already know what they do to homies that go bad, I choose the lesser of 2 fears, especially since I've already been in this situation before. So while I'm walking up the 2nd tier, this one dude keeps on eyeballing me. So I rush him, stabbed him twice, dropped the piece, and moved with everyone else. Individuals move in a hurry to get away from the scene of the chaos. So I did the same. All of this has become natural to me, and I get away with it again. Well, I'm also kicking it with a couple bulldogs. While at the same time, I'm kicking it with a couple bulldogs on my tier, and yet this one blood still supplying me with knives. So this morning, I get ready for breakfast. It's cold, so I put my jacket on. Back then, the jackets were thick. So I come out. I'm looking for a victim. Come out of my cell, and sure enough, 2 sureños are walking towards me. I'm like, damn, they found out who I am. Here they come. And I can see that one of them, in one of their hands, has a knife. And I forget to look behind me. And I knew better. So I continue. I tell myself,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
I tell myself, I'll crack dude with a knife and stab the other dude. Here we go. I crack dude with a knife, and I get hit from behind. I got hit so hard it knocked the wind out of me. I'm having a hard time trying to breathe. So I'm thinking I'm trying hard to breathe. Never in my life have I felt this pain or this panic. I turned to look for dude who stabbed me. Well, this dude walked past me like it was nothing, with this big smug look on his face, and just kept walking. I was like, why did dude stop? I was expecting to be stabbed more. I went into some kind of shock because I can't hear anything. I walked back to my cell and closed the door. I'm starting to breathe a little bit, but it's still hard. My cellie is panicking, asking me what's wrong. Finally, I'm able to breathe good, but it hurts. It hurts. But I'm not wheezing, which is good. So I tell myself as if I really know as if I really know what I'm talking about. I take my jacket off, and I hear the knife bounce on the floor. So at least now I know why he didn't keep stabbing me, and the other two probably seen me trying to breathe and my panic that they just joined dude, thinking, yeah, we got him, let's just go. Anyhow, I take my shirts off and ask my cellie how big is the hole in my back. He says, all I have is a big-ass bruise on my back. I make him swear it on his mother. So anyhow, I shower in the cell. Well, once all the excitement wears off, my back started to hurt bad. I couldn't even get out of bed. I hurt bad. I mean, I couldn't move. So I tell my cellie, all you have to do is close the door every time they open it, and call Blood over to see me right now. So Blood comes over. I asked that him and a few of his homies chill in front of my cell for a couple days. They do as I say. They do as they do. I stay laid out for about 4 days. I finally get up. Homeboy gives me a shot of crank. I'm feeling better. They open the door right as two dudes are standing in front of it. I stab the first dude in front of my cell. I finally get caught. The cops saved me, finally. I knew they wanted to kill me. Well, at this time, an Emmett dude stabs his cellie to death in another building, so the cops are getting caught up in that. Now, Old Folsom is a deadly prison. Well, it was back then. In fact, I probably caught the tail end of everything, of the old kind of war, of the spearing, of the darts, of the crossbows and stuff like that. So I'm probably the last one to catch any of this. Anyhow, I'm not the only one stabbing others. Nah, there's about 4 to 5 stabbings a day. I mean stabbings, not scratches like nowadays. These fools are taking lungs, they're taking kidneys. It's ugly. Anyhow, I get sent to New Folsom Hall on a yard. First they put me in A8. It's like the orientation building. So I don't do anything. I ask the porters for my homies. They tell me that A5 is where we're all stationed at. I eventually get there. I file my report. They tell me that they have heard about me and all that I was doing in Old Folsom. So I'm getting props for all I've done. Yeah, it feels good to be recognized. This is where I see it all. We all go out to yard, to this small ass yard with Africanos, with the TS. We all form these lines, and there's the two of us standing in front of facing us, and he starts telling us to follow them, to do as they tell us to do. This is my first experience where all of us, Norteños and Africanos and the TS, work out.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Where we all work out as one. It's called the machine. Then, when we're all done, the Norteños break off into smaller study groups. I am amazed by all this. It's like being in the military. This is exactly what I've been looking for all my life. Why couldn't I find this outside of prison? We even had our own store for those of us who didn't have anything. All the teachings were about carnalismo. We studied the 14 bonds and the Norteño format. I love this whole get-down. The respect that everybody is treating each other with, the respect the cops are treating us with, it's off the hook. So I commit myself even more. I'm feeling like, yeah, this is me right here. So I throw myself into working out and into studying. This is going on for about a month. Then we all get together in a circle, and the main homies tell us that we are all getting separated, that they plan on mixing the yards. For us to remember that there is no peace treaty. So if there is an enemy on your yard, that it is your responsibility to remove them. And sure enough, the next day, a bunch of homies get moved out, and a bunch of new people get moved in. So I find out 2 Emmett get moved in by this white boy that dropped out of the AB. He lets us know who these guys are. So that night, I melt 2 styrofoam soup bowls, and they're like cups, and I make myself a pedazo out of it. The following morning, we all go to the yard. I tell the few homies that I'm going to rush these 2 dudes. Back then, TS ran with us, as I stated earlier. This one on our yard tells me he wants to go in with me. So I tell him, okay, I'll drop my pedazo, meaning I shoot it out. I'll take off all the plastic off the tip cover. I tell him, I got the first one. You take the other one. So we make it seem like we're just walking past him. I swing my arm and right in the neck, right in the throat, and his head hits the back of the wall, and he goes down. He knocks himself out. So I stab him a couple more times in the back. I look over, no one is on the other dude. So I turn to go at him, and I hear the cop chamber around into his rifle. So I try to throw the pedazo over the wall, but it hits the wire mesh and bounces back into the yard. I'm like, damn. So I go to pick it up. When I do get there, I get cracked right on the jaw. I go flying backwards. As I'm falling, I notice this youngster run past me and attack dude that hit me. I'm like, yeah, that's right, homie. That's how we do things. That's what we're all about. Everything. That's about everything I'm being taught. It's true. Homeboy came to my assistance. We look out for each other. It's not just a bunch of talk. This is real stuff. I get found guilty for it and put in a place called Bedrock for 90 days. Bedrock is worse than the hole. You are single-celled. You're only allowed the T-shirt, 1 pair of boxers, a pair of socks, and the only thing you can buy from the store is soap and deodorant once a month, and that's put in a paper cup. And you get 1 pair of shower shoes. Right when I get there, I make a fishing line out of my waistband of my boxers and wait. Sure enough, I hear a line pass my door. I pull it in. I tug on it twice so they know I got it. How did they know it was me and not the enemy? There's 2 reasons. One, I tugged on the line. I tugged on the line. I didn't yell out and yell out and tell them I got it. Second, even as enemies, there's a certain line we as convicts don't cross. So I get the kite. It says, "¿Qué hubo, Diablo? I'm Cub from Fresno. The Huda told me you were on your way. I need you to send me a report. Where did you come from? Who was there with you, and what you've done since reception? Here are the household policies. We got yard in the morning. Stay on your toes, okay? Con respeto, Cub." So I write out my report. I tie my kite on the line, tug on the line. He pulls it in. The following morning, they start running yard. Cops go to certain cells, cuff dude up, and take him out. They do the same to me. I get out there. Cub tells the homie to run the machine so that he can talk to me. He says he read my kite and that as long as everything checks out, that I was cool. But until then, that I was just a guest in his house. I eventually get cleared. The following week, now I'm allowed to study and give my opinion on certain things. So I read off the 14 bonds and format to them from memory. They don't have them. So I write them out that night for Cub. We continue studying on them. So my 90 days go by fast. They tell me that I was moving to B4. Cub tells me that Carnal Tibbs is in charge there. So I get there. They tell me to write a report of everything I've been through and who was there with me. So I do. I do it again. I'm getting tired of all this writing. I didn't know Cub sent my report to him. So I find out later they simply wanted to compare the two to make sure and see if I was lying, which is smart. So again, I adapt to my surroundings. I'm working out, studying, it's all good. Then Carnal Dopey from Stockton tells me that if I didn't mind, he was gonna be my sponsor into the NF. I was shocked. He says, if you don't want to be, it's okay. I said, hell yeah, I want this. He tells me to keep it to myself, which was the hardest thing for me to do, because this is something I've been looking for a long time. Next year, Dopey tells me, after the machine, Tibbs is going to call you over and ask you a bunch.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And ask you about wanting to be a carnal. Don't make me look bad. I can't believe it. I'm going to be one of the elite, the best of the best. These powerful want me to be one of them. It's crazy. I was glowing with pride. So I get called over by them. There's 4 of them. I'm like, oh, none of these dudes have said a word to me this whole time. And now they want to hold a junta with me. I'm like, what the? The hair on my arms is standing on edge. So they start questioning me. Like, why do you want to be a carnal? What comes first, you or the Bible? Who is the enemy? And what is the enemy? When can you die? Questions like that. Then they ask, are you sure you want to be one of us? It's going to get harder for you from here on out. I tell them, yes, I want to be a carnal. So they tell me that I have a 30-day grace period to change my mind if I want. I protest. They say it's mandatory. So I do. I do the 30 days. I get called over by them. They tell me that they can't pull me. I'm like, what the hell? Why can't you pull me? I'm pissed off. I'm getting more and more mad. I almost said something stupid, something I would have regretted. I keep my mouth shut. They tell me they can't pull me because I am already a carnal, but that I am debajo de ala, which means that I'm a secret carnal, that nobody knows this yet except for the people that pulled me. In other words, without my knowledge, somebody pulled me, but he wouldn't tell me who, and that I was to keep it to myself. Okay, I'm a carnal, but I can't share this info with anyone. But I don't trip on it too much. We have a big junta about that. We are all going to be transferred to a new prison meant to break us in Corcoran, Califas. That homies from the Tehachapi will also be transferred there. So we are all going to cut our hair into Mongolians so we can identify each other. Okay, so Tibbs cuts my Mongolian and he cuts it into the shape of a diamond, which is why some street regiments know me with the name D. They know me with the name Diamond, and they know me with the name Diamond D, which will come up later. Now, before I get into Corcoran Shoe, I think this is the best opportunity to talk about the love and or good in my life. I have my baby's mama who wants to marry me. I have a home.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I have a homegirl who also wants to marry me. I have one of my sisters who is dedicated to me. I have my mother, and of course, there's my daughter. I have lots of love in my life. I also have a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, a lot of self-disappointment, a lot of self-hatred, okay? All of this disappointment, all of this self-hatred, this is all anger, needing a way out. And I'm living a violent life in a violent environment. Plus, I believe I'm not worthy of this love. I believe this love is going to get me killed. It will make me soft. So I tell my baby's mama and my homegirl, no on the marriage, and I push them away, knowing damn well I'm going to lose them to another, knowing that my BM will eventually find another man, which means I also know my daughter will eventually call another man dad. Yes, I know all this, and yes, it's eating me up. But I have to turn all this hurt, all this loss, all this shame, and all this guilt to anger. I have to be able to respond to all this violence with as much violence, if not more. Do I love my daughter? Yes. Do I love my baby's mama? Hell yeah. But I need to survive, and I can't without all this pain. So that's exactly what I do. And yes, my girl finds another man and marries him and has more children with him. And yes, my daughter eventually does start to call him dad. And my mom does pass away while I'm in SHU. And all these losses in my twisted way of thinking tells me or proves to me.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Or proves to me that this is where I'm supposed to be. It confirms everything to me. Yeah, nowhere in my thinking am I telling myself that I can change all this, only if I ask for help and change the decisions I'm making. All of this is your fault. It's society's fault. It's the cops' fault. See how screwed up my thinking is? Okay, so we're holding juntas about Corcoran shoe. We all have our Mongolians. We make sure everybody understands there is no peace treaty. Take off on every enemy you can. We are on all-out war. This is pumped into us. So we finally start getting shipped out. I'm scared. We're on the highway heading to Corcoran. This Africano starts getting loud, and cops start telling him to shut up, but he just won't. So they stop the bus, pull him out, and slam him against the butt a few times. They bring him back, sit him down, and he stays on quiet for the rest of the ride. I'm so damn scared now. I can't even eat lunch, so I give my peanut butter sandwich to away. We get there. They line us all up against the bus, and they give us this spiel about how we will listen to the rules here or else, and all this other crap trying to intimidate us. I'm not going to lie. I was intimidated. I meet a homeboy named Tomahawk from San Jose, and I tell him I'm a bro. He tells me the same. So we sell up. The following day, they run yard. So we head out to our section door. We're strip searched. Then they put us in the sally port where they take our cuffs off. The sally port is a door that leads to the outside. It opens up to the outside yard, which leads to this concrete yard shaped like a duck chute. Like a duck chute at the fair. And on the walls in big red writing it says no warning shots. We're like, what? Well, we get out there. There's already 3 sureños on the yard. We get dressed. We put our shoes on. We discuss a little about what we're going to do. Then one of them jumps in the shower. So we rush the other 2. The cop starts yelling, get down, get down, get down. I don't know why, but I also rush dude in the shower. I can hear this cop yelling. So I look back at Tomahawk and I see the tower cop yelling and waving his rifle back and forth looking all nervous. This cop is panicking. So I stop and I prone out like everybody else. This cop is still waving his rifle around. The other cops are trying to calm him down. I'm like, aren't these fools trained for this? Anyhow, they call us one at a time to the sally port. They strip us, search us, cuff us, and we see the nurse. And they send us back to our cell. And they tell us that we're all confined to quarters, CTQ, for 10 days. Me and Tomahawk get separated. I get housed in 4B1 left, which is bedrock. I'm like, damn, bedrock again. Can't I just stay out of this place? But in this bedrock, we're allowed to go to the store, which is way better. Anyways, I get put in a cell next to Bandit from Fresno. I know him from New Folsom Shoe. We're on the second tier. We see Cub from Fresno come into a cell on the first tier. Bandit sends him a kite telling him we're here with him. Now, Cub has more power than us. He tells us the rules for combat, that we are to keep fighting until we're stopped, until we're shot with Bertha, or we hear the gunner chamber around into his rifle, that we need to pay attention, that we can't lose any soldados over a fist fight. So every 10 days, we know we're going to go to yard, get either sliced with a razor by the enemy, lose the fight, get shot by Bertha, which looks like a sawed-off shotgun that shoots 4 wooden blocks with copper straps around them. They are all painful, or you will get shot with a 9mm H&K assault rifle, which shoots a bullet that blows up inside you and shoots tiny BBs inside. This is what you have coming every 10 days. We also know that if we get shot above the waist, we are going to die. And if we get shot below the waist, then we'll only be crippled. Again, can you hear how twisted our thinking has become? We will only be crippled. That is crazy. Why isn't Not fighting an option, huh? Well, that ain't nada. These cops want to get in on all the fuss, so they start setting up fights and betting on them. We know this because they tell us. They used to tell me, "I got some money on you," and after we got shot with a Bertha and put us back in our cells, they would all go to the control booth to watch the video of the fight. You could hear them from the cell cheering and exchanging money. I lived like this for 2 years, wrapped up in all this tension, all this pain, but all this physical pain helped me a lot because it gave me relief from my emotional and psychological pain. I remember one time I got shot with Bertha right on top of my head, after which all I could see was white, like I was living in a cloud. Well, one of our rules was that we do not ask for medical attention. So the cop that cussed me up asked me if I'm all right. He can see that I'm not. He tries real hard to convince me to accept medical attention. I tell him, do me a favor, lead me to my cell outside, so he can walk me to my cell. Oh, they let my cellie out of the cell so he.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I said, do me a favor, let my cellie out so he can walk me back to my cell. So he does. Okay. I know I must have a head concussion, so I tell my cellie not to let me fall asleep at all. Don't do it. Don't let me fall asleep. So he kept me up all night. My thought after that was, I have 10 days to heal before my next fight. I went through all this madness because of my fear of being seen as a coward, and my fear of not being accepted outweighed my fear of being shot or being killed. Now you may think, why didn't you just ask for help? From who? The people stationed there to watch over you are betting money on your next fight. So much so that they would skip cells because they thought me and someone else would be a better fight to watch. Sometimes they would move others from another building and so on. Not once did a doctor come to see me, a medical one or a mental one. The MTA medical trainee assistant would come after every fight, but staff's thought process was they don't care about themselves, then why should I care for them? Or they want to act like animals, then treat them like animals. All this pain, all this disappointment, all this loss, and all this violence grows on you, so much so that it became second nature to me, just like brushing your teeth every morning. All I cared about was being a good soldado, of living up to all the rules I'm supposed to live by, which we call our Bible. Then one day, Black Jess moves in to my section. I shoot him a kite. He confirms who I say I am. He tells me he's been trying to get at me. He tells me that I am special, that I have two Ninos, two godfathers into the NF, both him and Chente from Chino. He also tells me that from now on, I am to let everyone know that I am, and everything that I'm doing is done by the NF. From riding a kite to a homie to blasting an enemy. This is coming from the higher echelon of the NF. From warriors I both looked up to and feared. Can you imagine how big of a boost that gave my ego? I got to Corcoran Shoe mid-1988. So this was about the late 88, early 89. The war back then was the NF, the NR, the BGF, the Bloods and the Crips against the Aryan Brotherhood, the Whites, the Eme, and Sureños. Slowly the Bloods and Crips stopped working with us. Some did, some didn't. We, the NF, stopped working with the Califas Texas Syndicate because they kept recruiting our trash. We gave them an ultimatum: stop or else. They chose the or else. So now our enemy list is grown even bigger. We're starting to hear about homies getting shot with a 9mm rifle. First Cub from Fresno, then Chente from Chino. Then they both survived. Then homeboy Snowman was shot and killed like 2 weeks to the house. Then we got word that Palo from Sacra and New Folsom was shot and killed as well. So we, the NF, decided to create a birthday for the NR in order to celebrate all of their sacrifices. I was like, yeah, that's right. That's how we treat our own people. All these little things that we've been doing for each other. That's what keeps me going. This is what I have accepted as love, as carnalismo. I'm blind to all the pain I'm instilling in others, all the propaganda I was teaching all these youngsters, to all the to all to all the pain that I'm causing my family, my BM, and my daughter. So what about the sacrifices they are making to visit me, to send me money and packages? I can't see all that sacrifices that they are making. Yeah, that's how twisted my thinking has become. I wasn't born this way. Nah, I was created by every little hurt, every letdown, and every fear I came across that I either didn't know how to accept, deal with, and or learn by. I learned by observing others. We're raised believing men don't cry, or that it's a weakness to ask for help. That's all. The strongest thing a man can do is ask for help. And learning from your vulnerability will let you see how truly blessed you are. I chose otherwise because I lacked the courage to be different. Anyhow, it's December 1989. I'm on the yard. There's nothing but homies and bloods on the yard. Then the door opens and this tall white boy walks out onto the yard, talking all kinds of. He tells one of the homies that he's on the wrong yard because he's a Sureño sympathizer. So I tell a fellow carnal to have one of the homies rush this dude. I tell him to have him blasted. I want him off of my yard. 10 or so minutes go by, and still nada. So I tell this carnal again, why is this dude still on my yard?
You have 60 seconds remaining.
That if dude is still in my yard in 5 minutes, that I'm going to have to rush dude and that you'll answer for it. He swears the Africanos are going to do it. I told him that's not what I ordered. So I walk away. I tell my kid, I'll do it on my own. On my way back from the sink, I'm going to cold-cock this fool. I guess this fool read my mind because he cold-cocked me and dropped me on the way to the sink. I jumped up, dropped